friends, today I am here to do a wrap up to my little March Madness book edition. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go watch my original video that I did for some context. But essentially, March Madness is a thing that happens every year with college basketball, but I decided to do my own version, not about basketball, but about books. So I came up with this little mini bracket because this is much smaller than what they do for March Madness. We have different categories with 2 books in each category going head to head, and then eventually there will be just one winner. I don't even know if you can see that because of the brightness, but oh, there you go. If you want a little glimpse, feel free to pause and read it all. I haven't actually gone through and figured out who the winner is, so we get to do that together live right now. I know, exciting. So the first category we have is romance. The 2 books that are going head to head are The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren and The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I don't know how detailed I'm going to be of my opinions on these books in this video. So if you want to know more on my thoughts on these books, go ahead and check out my recent reading vlogs because that is where I give my thoughts. So first, The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. In The Unhoneymooners, 2 characters who do not like each other end up going on a honeymoon cruise after they are the only 2 people to not get food poisoning at a wedding that they both attend, their siblings' wedding. So they go on this vacation, even though they don't like each other. Things happen. Of course, it's a romance book. I absolutely love this book. I thought it was funny, relatable. The characters were great. The angst was great. I only had a few little things that I didn't like about it, which mostly occurred at the end of the novel. So it got 4.5 stars. As for The Simple Wild, is about this city girl from Toronto who ends up going to this bushy small town, there's villages, whatever, in Alaska where her father lives. She was born there, but at 2 years old her mother took her away because she did not like that rural kind of life, and subsequently she does not have a relationship with her father, so she goes to Alaska when she discovers that her father has cancer. There's a hot pilot there, things happen, it's fun and also emotional because cancer. Again, I really enjoyed this. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be because the romance really isn't as strong until the last quarter of the book or so, and the romance really isn't center stage. I would say that the sort of family drama that goes on shares the stage with the romance. Now, I also gave The Simple Wild 4.5 stars because I really loved it, but there were just a few things, again, that I wasn't a fan of. So that certainly puts me in a pickle on who should win. And it's hard to say because I just finished The Simple Wild last night, so I still really have that strong connection with it. These both had elements that I liked, and one would have elements that the other didn't have, so it's hard to just pro-con weigh this. Ugh. I think I'm gonna go with The Unhoneymooners just because this is the romance category. Sorry, Simple Wild. I mean, you are a romance book, but you didn't really take center stage. And I really love Christina Lauren's writing because their writing has a lot of humor to it. It's funny without being cringy, you know? And The Simple Wild wasn't cringy, but it just didn't have that humor that I really enjoy. So yes, I'm going to give this round to The Unhoneymooners. But I love both books so much. So the next category is new release, which I originally had as YA, but then I was like, what if I want to read YA books for the other categories? So I decided not to have a YA category. Going head to head in this was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Call Me Evie by J.P. Pomaire. Daisy Jones and the Six is about this rock band who sort of finds themselves coming into fame, but then also seeing how it all crashes down. Call Me Evie is about a girl who at the beginning of the novel is taken by some man, or she's with some man and we don't really know why, what their relationship is. There's this big event that apparently happened, but she can't remember it. So we go back and forth between the past and the present, and slowly the mystery unravels. Both of these books came out on March 5th, which is why they are my new releases. So starting with Daisy Jones and the Six, I gave this book 4 stars. I had so much hype for this book. It was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It just sounded something absolutely up my alley, and it ended up not being what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be full 5 stars, love of my life, but that did not happen. I still really enjoyed it, obviously, but the first half was just pretty slow and it took me a while to get into it. For Call Me Evie, I gave this one 3 stars. I thought it was really gripping in the beginning, but it took so long to start unraveling the pieces, and it ended up just becoming a bit dull because you need something to keep you going through the entirety of the book, but this just takes way too long to give you any kind of information, and it got to the point where I almost didn't care what happened because it was just taking too long. So obviously I think the winner there is Daisy Jones. Now on to the thriller category. For this category, the two books going head to head were Bird Box and The Wife Between Us. Camera ran out of space as I was speaking, love that. So in Bird Box, something has kind of taken over, I guess, the world. You don't know what it is, but when people look at it, it drives them insane and leads them to commit suicide. So in this world, if you go outside, you have to be blindfolded. The Wife Between Us, on the other hand, is a good old marriage drama thriller, and you read from these two different perspectives: a woman who had just divorced from this man and a woman who was about to marry him. Very twisty, so I don't want to talk too much about it, which is how I feel about most thrillers. So first up, Bird Box. I really enjoyed this. It really gripped me. I'm pretty sure I finished it in one day because I just wanted to see how it was going to end. I will say that the build-up did not quite meet what ended up happening. I didn't find the end to be super crazy shocking or anything, but I did still really enjoy it, so I gave it 4 stars. As for The Wife Between Us, I was really loving it in the beginning. There's a twist, I would say, about halfway through the book that I absolutely did not see coming. And so the first half just really set an expectation for the end, but the end completely let me down. It was so dull. There were some, I guess, surprising things or just things I hadn't thought about, but I didn't find them super shocking or anything. I was just like, okay. At first I was gonna give this book 3 stars. I was gonna say it was just average, but the more I dwelled on the ending and just how let down I felt, I ended up giving it 2 stars. So clearly the winner of the thriller category is Bird Box. And the last category is fantasy. I say that with quotation marks because I don't know if these books are like full-on fantasy, maybe a little urban fantasy. I don't really know. I don't care. This is my competition. I can do what I want. So for this, I ended up reading Lair of Dreams by Elizabeth Bray and Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shannon McGuire. These are both continuations to a series. Lair of Dreams is the sequel to The Diviners, and it's basically about these group of people who discover that they have sort of powers. It's set in the 1920s and it's super atmospheric and very diverse, and each book kind of has a little mystery. I would say The Diviners kind of wrapped up their mystery in that book, but Lair of Dreams kind of opened more. I did really enjoy Lair of Dreams. Like I said, these are just so atmospheric. I love listening to the audiobook for this one because the narrator does a fantastic job. Like, I don't know how she makes her voice sound like so many different voices, but it's amazing. I really like the characters. I love that they all have very fleshed out personalities and backstories. It didn't completely blow me away, so I gave it 4 stars, but I still really enjoyed it. And Beneath the Sugar Sky is the 3rd book in the Wayward Children series, the first being Every Heart a Doorway. This was my least favorite in the series so far. I found it to be very all over the place, and the story that it tries to tell definitely doesn't fit the amount of pages that the book has, which is like 170 or something like that. We do have a mix of old characters and new characters, and I really liked that, but I felt like the new characters were just not given enough time to flesh them out. Everything just felt really rushed, and because of that, the stakes just felt very low to me. I wasn't very invested in the story. The writing is fantastic, as always. Shannon McGuire creates such interesting and fantastical worlds. If you don't know, in this world, there are just a bunch of little doors that lead to different worlds. Some are nonsensical, some are logical, and the children in these stories always feel at home at one particular world, and typically it is about them figuring out how to get back there or figuring out how the world works and adjusting to it. This one just did not live up to the other two. I think it really needed to be longer in order to be what it was trying to be. So I gave this one 3 stars. Again, that makes the winner pretty obvious, Lair of Dreams. So now that I have my 4 winners, I get to decide the winners between these other matchups. So it's going to be the romance winner, which is the Unhoneymooners, versus the new releases winner, which is Daisy Jones and the Six. Again, I gave the Unhoneymooners 4.5 stars, and I gave Daisy Jones 4 stars. And when I think about them both in context, I definitely enjoyed the Unhoneymooners the most. There's your winner. Now the thriller winner gets to go up against the fantasy winner. This is actually hard because I gave them both the same star rating, and I enjoyed them both for different reasons. Ooh, this is tough. I think I'm gonna give it to Bird Box because I just got really invested in that story, so much so that I finished it in one day. Of course, it helps that Bird Box was a lot shorter. So then the final matchup is the Unhoneymooners versus Bird Box, and this is not hard to choose at all. The Unhoneymooners definitely beats out Bird Box, even though it only had half a star rating more. I just loved that book so much. Christina Lauren is just so good at what they do, which means the Unhoneymooners is the champion. Ironically, I think this this is the only arc that I read, so you can't actually go and read this yet unless you manage to get an e-arc from NetGalley or otherwise, or wherever else you get e-arcs from. But it does come out in May, I believe, May 14th to be exact. So I highly, highly recommend picking up this book if you get the chance, because it is so good. So that is it for my March Madness book edition wrap up. This is really fun to do. I think I'm going to do it every year from now on. It's obviously a little anticlimactic once you like know which book you really liked. This definitely would have been a harder competition if The Unhoneymooners and The Simple Wild weren't in the same category, because I think those were my favorite books of the month, which I think tells me I need to start reading more romance because they were both romance. If you enjoyed this, let me know. I know someone in the comments of my first video said that it would be cool to do this as like a readathon. So if that's something that you would be interested in, let me know and maybe I'll try to do that next year. Assuming we're all still alive next year, because at this rate with the world, who knows? But yeah, that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!